Greetings YouTubers, and welcome back to another Toddy Walnuts filler video. Welcome to the channel. We are getting closer and closer to 10,000, and I really appreciate everybody who has subbed and supported the channel with thumbs up and comments. I really do appreciate that. If I do hit 10,000, I think I'm about 300 away. I'm going to have a huge giveaway. This will be my last one. This will be the last milestone that I hit 10,000. So I'm gonna start buying up some stuff, and this is going to be a pretty good haul for giveaways. So if you haven't subscribed yet, please do, and looking forward to giving back to the community for all of the fun that I've had over the years. So today, as you can tell from the title, and I just had a community post poll, I'm going to go through this random tote. Now, I've been doing some home renovations lately over the last couple of weeks, and I hired a carpenter to build me some custom shelves in a back bedroom at the Walnuts compound, and I'm going to start putting that room together. I've been here in this house about 5 years now, and it's slowly coming together. If you guys are homeowners, you know how that goes. There's a lot of updating you have to do, and there's a lot of money that you have to put back into the house. When you're a homeowner, it's nice to own your own home, but it can be pretty expensive too. So enough about that. I'm looking forward to showing you guys that room once it's put together, and maybe I'll show you bits and pieces of the transformation from how it is now to how it's going to be in the final stage. And then I can finally show you guys my entire collection. But this one's just going to be a random tote, and I have quite a few of these totes full of movies. I think I probably have 6,000 to 8,000 movies. I have about 15 of these totes, and there's probably like a few, 300 or 400 movies per box. And I do also have some other shelving units that are just jam full of movies. There's probably a couple of thousand movies on shelves already. So I thought it would be maybe kind of fun, a little filler video, like I said, to just kind of randomly pull movies. There's no rhyme or reason to how these are in here. At one point I did have these somewhat alphabetized, but over the last couple of years I was taking stuff out, putting stuff in, and it's an organized mess, we'll put it that way. So get yourself relaxed, get a beverage and a snack, kick your feet up, and let's just have a filler video and check out some of these older DVDs that I have. I think this is going to be mostly, if not all, DVDs in this video. So let's check them out. Also joining me are the two lovely girls. We have Miss Hannah. She is an 8-year-old Weimaraner, purebred. She's been a very good friend to me. She's slowing down a little bit, though. I can see she's getting some aches and pains. I can tell when she wakes up from a nap. She's kind of like her daddy, like me. You know, when I get up from a nap, I'm a little sore sometimes too. And then we have 5-year-old Heidi. She's a Vizsla. So Hannah is a German breed. She's a purebred. I live in the state of Wisconsin, and I bought her from a seller in the state of Michigan, and we met in the Chicagoland area to complete the transaction. I brought money, and of course she brought the dog, and we met in Chicago, and it was about halfway. She had to go a little bit further than I did, but that was probably some of the best money I've ever spent right there. That's a great dog, very good friend to me. And then Heidi, she's from Wisconsin, but she's a Hungarian breed. They're both bird dogs, but I don't hunt. These are just family pets, but these are both pointers. Excellent breeds for hunting. Like I said, I'm just not a hunter. So, all right. So let me just randomly pull from this pile here. Now, some of these were purchased at stores like Best Buy, Circuit City back in the day, FYEs at Suncoast Videos. And sad to say that recently Best Buy decided that they're no longer going to sell Blu-rays or DVDs, and they're going to, I think they're halting DVDs immediately, which is understandable for DVDs because there's other media that has surpassed in quality. But early 2024, they said they're going to get rid of Blu-rays and 4K, so that's pretty sad. Some of these were picked up at flea markets too, and some of them were picked up at thrift shops. First one here is called Cry Wolf, the unrated edition. I'm not going to say too much about these movies unless I come across one that's just excellent that needs to be talked about, but the majority of these I'm sure you guys have heard of and know about. The next one is called Zombie Diaries 2. See what I mean? There's no rhyme or reason to how I'm pulling these. The first one was the letter C. This one's all the way to letter Z. But thought I would show some of these today, just to get some filler on the channel, keep the algorithms going. Whatever those are, I still don't know what the heck an algorithm is. This one's called Trunk. Now, some of these I have not watched yet, and this is one that I haven't. This was purchased from an old Hollywood video. If there's anything that I pull that you would like to hear more about, this one was from a Blockbuster. This is called Shallow Ground. Eventually, when I do get all of the shelving units put in that back bedroom, I'm going to go through and show you everything that I own eventually. And I will alphabetize everything. I will categorize everything. So the next one is called Insanitarium with a slipcover. Next one is Night of the Demons. This is an Anchor Bay release. Here's Angela. The next one is called Bottom Feeder, starring the late Tom Sizemore. He died about, I think about a year or so ago. I think he had a stroke and he was hanging on for a few days and then he finally succumbed. He lived fast and hard, man, and so it's not that I was a big Tom Sizemore fan. He was okay, I guess. He was in some pretty good movies. Next one is Prom Night. This is the remake. This is the unrated version. This one came out in, let's see if it's 2008, I believe. That print could be a little smaller, don't you think? Brittany Snow, that's the young lady. I was trying to think of her name, but that is Brittany Snow. I'm not going to show you everything in this box just because it would take me forever to go through it. But like I said, if you're subscribed to the channel and if you hit the notification bell, eventually you will see all of these movies. And I'll do a shelf-by-shelf tour. This is called When a Stranger Calls. This is also a remake. This is an old Blockbuster video. Let me see. This one came out in 2006. These are the modern teen horror movies. I'm not the biggest fan of these, but if I find these movies cheap enough, I'll grab them. Next one is called The Unkindness of Ravens. The Unkindness of Ravens. And this is a film by the great Laurie Brewster. I have this on Blu-ray as well. I found this at a Dollar Tree a summer or two ago, and I couldn't believe it. This is actually a pretty good movie, and to see it at a Dollar Tree already. I still do pick up DVDs. I still do buy VHS tapes, and I'll keep buying them. This one's called Bride of Scarecrow. This looks like it was probably another Dollar Tree movie. Now, I don't have a lot of these Dollar Tree movies. I do have some good stuff, too. So far, you can't tell, but I do. Let's see. This one's called Harpoon. This one stars the late, great Gunnar Hansen, who played Bubba Sawyer in the TCM movie. This was put up by Image Entertainment. Who was the director of this one? This is an Icelandic movie. It was produced by Ingvar, Thordarson, and it was directed by Julius Kemp. Let's see here. Here is the Night of the Demons remake on DVD. Pretty fun little movie, I guess. Pretty good practical effects in that movie. Alright, here's a Fat Pack. This is called Dust Devil. It's a pretty good movie. This is the limited collector's edition. They're calling this the final cut by Subversive Films. Is that what that says? So this is a Fat Pack, and it's got a bunch of discs in here. Let's take a look inside. So you get a pretty nice thick booklet. There's actually two thick booklets in there, and a little mini comic book. And then here's the booklet for the movie, and you get a CD soundtrack for the movie. And then on a swing tray, you get, I think this broke, you get Dust Devil, the final cut. It's a couple different cuts of it, and then you get Secret Glory, a documentary, Richard Stanley, and then you get the White Darkness, another different documentary. So this is a really nice set. I know it was pretty pricey back in the day when it first came out, and when I say pricey, it was probably like $40 or so. I don't know what it is now. I haven't priced this in a long time, but it's a pretty cool movie, and that's a beautiful edition of it. So keep moving here. I love the Bigfoot, Yeti, Abominable Snowman type movies, and this is called Abominable. And I also do love the movies that take place in kind of a wintry, mountainy, snowy, icy setting. This is pretty good. It's a pretty good movie. This one came out in 2019. A research team embarks on a journey to obtain a plant that can advance medical research by centuries. While stumbling upon clues of a previous expedition, they discover that a Yeti creature lurks within the Himalayan mountains, and it will do anything to protect its terrain. That's if that doesn't pull you in, I don't know what will. Okay, the next one up is called Final Stab. I know this does have a Blu-ray release now, which I don't own yet, but this is kind of a teeny slasher film. Middle of the road, a little bit less maybe. It says for mature audiences, contains violence, adult language, and adult content. That's what we want. It says it's inspired by horror classics like Scream, Friday the 13th, and I Know What You Did Last Summer. It's a tribute to a great slasher films. But yeah, it falls short compared to those. But it's still, I mean, it's still enjoyable. It's worth at least one watch. Next one's called Cruel Peter, and I'm noticing that there's a lot of Dollar Tree movies, so I think I must have just dumped a whole bunch of them in this tote. I'll try not to pick up too many of the Dollar Tree. Those aren't as interesting. Let's see here. So my good buddy John Borowski from Chicago, I went to see one of his live premieres in Chicago at a theater a few years back now for Carl Panzram. And I've known John for many years, and it was really fun to go to the premiere. He was there. There was some people from the media there. This was way before I was on YouTube here. Otherwise, I would have recorded footage. It was at an old-timey theater, too, and I wish I remembered the name of the theater. And it was really cool because we got to watch the premiere viewing, not this movie. It was the same director, but a different movie. It was Carl Panzram, which I recommend all of these documentaries that he does. And we got to meet some of the actors from the movie. This is another really good one. This is H.H. Holmes, America's first serial killer. Some people think that he was Jack the Ripper, but he wasn't. He did do a lot of traveling to and from Great Britain, but it just didn't line up a lot of the killings. Here is a pretty nice box set from the UK. This is called Ghost Stories for Christmas. It's a 6-disc collection. And you get quite a few. It's an anthology of different Christmas style horror shorts. So, I mean, there's quite a bit of, I'm not going to go through and name everything, but if you are interested in holiday horror movies, this is definitely one to pick up. Comes with a nice thick book. I don't know if this has a Blu-ray release by now. I wouldn't be surprised if it does, but there are the 6 discs and the booklet. And that's a nice little piece. Very enjoyable. I really like that. This is Region 2, though it is locked to Region 2 because it's from the UK. And but I do have region-free players, so it's no problem for me. Just make sure that you have one if you want to order that. Otherwise, you won't be able to watch it. Let's see, what else do we have? Here's one called Dead Mary, unrated. This was one of those kind of urban legends type movies. I remember watching this. It wasn't bad. Again, I would probably give this middle of the road. There was pretty good, pretty gruesome kills in here. I'm trying to get to the good stuff. Oh, this was pretty good. I like killer animal movies, and this was pretty decent. This was called Grizzly Park. This was a limited edition, I guess, with a slipcover. There was another one that I had too called The Grizzly Maze. I thought it was really good. These killer bear movies are pretty intense. And there were some pretty horrific kills in that movie as well. Everybody has this movie at least once in their collection. This is Army of Darkness, and this is the pop art collection with the slipcover that came out some years back. Let's see if it says on the back. 2016. This was released in that pop art cover. And I don't mind the Army of Darkness. I really wish they wouldn't have gone, comedy with that. I really loved the first Evil Dead, and they made that pretty much a straightforward horror movie. And then Army of Darkness 2, Evil Dead 2 got really silly, I thought. It was still enjoyable, but here's one called Something to Scream About, hosted by Brink Stevens. This is a documentary about low-budget horror movies and shot-on-video movies. This was put out by Tempe Video. And you can see that there's a lot of different interviews, and you can see some of the actresses and actors that took part in some of these low-budget shot-on-video movies. And if you like documentaries, this is probably a good one for you to add to your collection. Here's a twin billing, a couple of Scarecrow movies. You get Scarecrow, and you get Scarecrow Slayer double feature. These movies are pretty ridiculous, but they're still fun. I've had some fun watching these. Tony Todd is in, I think, the second one. I don't know if he's in both. The very lovely Tiffany Shepis is in the first one. And let's see what's next. This one was pretty good. I really love urban legends, and there was a time when I was going through picking up just about anything I could find, whether it be movies that that had to do with that theme of urban legends, or documentaries or television shows. This one was not very good, though. This is Urban Legends, or Are They? This was, it looked like a couple of kids made a movie in their backyard. I mean, it was okay for what it was, I guess. But you get 7 tales of horror and dread. It says, are they stories or are they real? This was put up by MVD Visual. I've seen better, but it was okay. Let's see. I know you guys are looking for you guys want to see some good stuff. I don't know if I have too much in this box, but this is Last House on Dead End Street. This is the Fat Pack. This was really pricey for a while, but this was a long time ago. This has a Blu-ray release by now, so I know at one time this was kind of hard to get. This is a movie from 1973, and this is one of those kind of revenge, home invasion revenge type movies. I call these Fat Packs, and these are the old kind of the Anchor Bay style, where they have the 2 trays that open up, and on this side you get the, what is that? That's disc 2. Disc 1 has the movie, I believe, and disc 2 has a bunch of special features. This was not put out by Anchor Bay, but it's the same kind of packaging that they used to use. And I know that this booklet was also kind of rare too, so if you look for this, make sure you get one with the booklet, if that matters to you. To me it does. Maybe to you it doesn't. Next one is Tobe Hooper's Toolbox Murders. This was also a Blockbuster former rental, widescreen edition of it. This was pretty good. Not bad. I'm going to pause it here and see if I can pull out some good stuff. Okay, so I pulled out a little stack here. Once these are done, we'll end the video. If you guys enjoyed the video, give it a thumbs up and comment below if you'd like to see me do another one of these. Otherwise, this most likely will be a one-off, just because I don't know if anybody's even going to watch this. But the next one's called Creep. This was pretty cool. It was really eerie atmosphere and a really cool setting of a killer who's lurking in the subway tunnel, and a lot of the scenes were kind of dark, which kind of gives it that extra ambiance and creep factor. I really like this one too. Like I was saying earlier, I like the snow movies. This one's called Necrosis. Different kind of a take on zombie movies. Michael Berryman is in there, and Mickey, what was his name? Mickey Jones. He was a real life tough guy. He passed away a few years ago. This one's definitely a fun watch. I would recommend Necrosis. This one had potential, and I loved the kind of the backwoods hillbilly slasher movies, and I thought this was going to be pretty good, and it was okay. It was nothing, to write home about, but this is called Hobbs End, and it was very low budget. The acting was, sometimes these low budget movies, there's a charm to them. The acting is so bad and that, but this one was just okay at best. Next one is called Gnaw, cannibal type movie, and this one was pretty grotesque. It says, according to official UK stats, more than 210,000 missing persons are filled every year. Some cases are never solved. But yeah, that one's pretty gross. And we have another low-budget serial killer type movie. This one's called Drifter, Henry Lee Lucas, based on the traveling killer who left a wake of bodies across the U.S. back in the 70s. And he claimed way more bodies than he could actually be traced to, so they never really figured out how many he actually killed, but it could be hundreds or it could be 20s, but he was a monster, no doubt about it. Henry Lee Lucas and Otis Toole. This one's called Beneath. This is a pretty good movie. This is another kind of a gritty, atmospheric monster in a coal mine, and there's a lot of dark scenes, which kind of adds to the creepiness, and I enjoyed this one. Here's a childhood favorite called The Gate. Kind of a Goonies type movie. Goonies meets Troll or something like that. Chud. But these young kids go on a little adventure and they find some monsters. There's a hole in this kid's backyard. I believe, if I remember, it's been a while since I've seen it, but the kid's family moves into a new house, and while he's exploring the backyard, a beautiful big 2-story house, and he's exploring the backyard, he finds this little hole, and then they go exploring it. And I'm sure most of you have seen this. If you haven't seen The Gate, you definitely do have to check it out. This one's called the Monstrous Special Edition, but this does have a Blu-ray release by now, as most of these do. Here's Zombie Holocaust. I have this movie a few different times. I do have this on Blu-ray as well. It's a fun little splatter flick. Zombie exploitation. This was put out by Shriek Show. The movie itself came out in 1980, but the DVD came out probably in the early 2000s, if I had to guess. Well, I'm not seeing it on here. But this is one of the movies that I think they were filmed overseas in the Pacific Islands, and it's low budget, but these are fun movies. I enjoy these. This, I believe, is it's either the Italian or the Spanish edition of The Church, Michele Soavi. And at one time, this was the only release that was available on DVD. This was a long time ago. It since has a Blu-ray, a really nice Blu-ray release, but this was the way to watch it back in the day. So that's why I have this edition. And I'm sure most of you guys have seen The Church by now. I think Dario Argento produced this, if I recall correctly. Yes, he did. You can see it right there. Produced by Argento and directed by Soavi. Fun movie. I recommend getting the Blu-ray upgrade. Here is 5 Minutes to Live. This is a Johnny Cash sort of slasher movie. You read that right. Johnny Cash, 5 Minutes to Live. Door-to-door maniac. And you know, it's actually not bad. I bought this just as, you know, as kind of a goof to see Johnny Cash in a movie. Johnny Cash was a great entertainer, and he was definitely talented as a musician, maybe not so much as an actor, but this is not a bad movie. 5 Minutes to Live. Here's a really fun Stephen King adaptation called Riding the Bullet. This movie's pretty creepy, and it was directed by Mick Garris. You can see there on the bottom. I really enjoyed this movie. I thought it was great. The acting was, David Arquette is in here. He's the main character. It's very creepy. There's some pretty good twists in this movie, and this particular edition has the full-length theatrical version. If you haven't seen Riding the Bullet, do check it out. There's David Arquette. It has kind of a creep show vibe to it. I'm not going to give anything away. Definitely do check out Riding the Bullet. Here's this one's called Lucky 13, and this is Slaughterhouse. This also has a Blu-ray release a couple different times. This is Buddy. Buddy has an axe to grind. He's kind of it's a hillbilly movie, right? It's a backwoods slasher type movie, and Buddy and his father, who own a slaughterhouse, the local government want to shut it down because it's kind of run down and it's raggedy and it's, you know, there's a lot of weird odors coming out of there. So they just want to shut it down and raise it, bulldoze it, get it out of here. Well, Buddy doesn't want to get rid of it, and he doesn't like the fact that people are threatening his father, so he goes nuts with any tools he can find, and he leaves a wake of bodies. It's not a great movie, but it's still fun. You know, it's definitely no TCM, but I think they try to kind of make it that way. Still a fun watch. Here's a movie that I helped crowdfund this movie. This was the limited Freddie Wong collector's edition. He signed it. This is called Bear. It's another one of the Killer Bear Outdoors movies. Pretty good. I enjoyed it. This was one of my, I helped crowdfund many movies over the years. This was one of the earlier ones. I don't remember if my name is in here or not. But I like to crowdfund. You know, I think supporting independent film is very important, and it's stuff that I enjoy, so I like to support it any chance I can get. Here's Krampus 2, The Devil Returns. I like these movies. They're pretty stupid. They're pretty ridiculous, but they're still pretty fun, and I do enjoy holiday-themed horror movies. This one comes with this slipcover. I got this one in an FYE, and you can see that they had it listed at $14.99. I do have a membership there, which I forget what they charge you per year, but then you get a certain percentage off of movies, so it probably only came to like $12 for me, but for a DVD that's still pretty expensive. But I bought this a while ago. I'm sure that has a Blu-ray release by now. This one here, The Mutilator, Buddy Cooper, great slasher movie from the 80s, early 80s. And for a long time, this didn't have a DVD release. It only had a VHS release. So this was a fan-made DVD. I call it fan-made. I don't call it bootlegs. And you'll notice that I rarely have any fan-made or bootlegs in my collection. I'm just totally against them. I think anybody who bootlegs somebody else's movies is a monster. You're taking money out of an artist's mouth, pretty much. Taking food out of their mouth, taking money out of their wallet, whatever. But this never had a DVD release when I purchased this. And somebody made this. I mean, it had artwork on the disc. It was beautiful. It was originally put out on Anchor Bay on VHS. I suggested this movie to Arrow Video years ago, and they actually put out a beautiful Blu-ray release. So I'm still going to keep this just kind of as memories, but I do have the Blu-ray from Arrow Video, and they put out a beautiful edition of it. If you haven't watched Buddy Cooper's The Mutilator, do check it out. It's a great slasher movie. Next up, I have a few years ago now. I say a few years, it was probably 10, 12 years ago. They put out a line called Monster Mayhem, and they had these really nice slipcovers, and this is Taste the Blood of Dracula, starring Christopher Lee. And then when you pull the slipcover off, you can see what the original cover looked like. I wish I would have got more of these back then. I'm sure I can probably find these on eBay now, but these are really nice little movies. These are Hammer movies. And then I have Horror of Dracula, and it has that new Mayhem slipcover plus the original art, which looks amazing. I mean, that's beautiful. Christopher Lee's fantastic first ever performance as the Lord of the Undead, Horror of Dracula. Christopher Lee was, I know this might be a little bit controversial because a lot of people love Bela, but for my money, Christopher Lee, man, he's my Dracula. Here's a movie based on true events. I love this movie. This movie was everything that I love in a horror movie. It had a lot of suspense. It had great characters. This is an Aussie film based on serial killings from Australia. This is the unrated version, and this movie is brutal. It's very, very suspenseful. It's a great horror movie. You can feel the anguish of these characters as they're being stalked and harassed and murdered. I'm sure by now a lot of you have seen Wolf Creek, but if you haven't, do check that out. Love that movie. Here's one called The Ridge, and I watched this years ago. I think they were trying to recapture some of the magic that the original Evil Dead movie had, but it fell short because The Evil Dead is one of the best horror movies ever made. This was not bad, but it was far from a good horror movie. I don't know if I would ever watch this again. Maybe I will, just to kind of revisit it, because I probably forgot a lot of stuff in there. But here's one called Abducted. This one came in a gimmicky, kind of a lime green slipcase, plastic case with the slipcover. I don't think I've watched this one yet. And it has that look of The Crazies, George A. Romero's The Crazies, but I don't know if that's what they were going for here. If I did watch this, it's been so long I forgot, but I have a feeling I did not see this one yet. Here's one of the early DVDs that were released. This one's called Hands of Blood. This is what the original DVD releases looked like back in the day. This is from a company called Cult Cinema Collection. Image Entertainment. This was, let's see if it says on the back when this was released. The movie came out in 1974, but the DVD was released in 2002. So over 20 years ago this came out. Bond Gideon. Nice little slasher flick. And there's a little 2-page leaflet that comes with it, and there's also an Image Entertainment catalog, so you can see some of their previous releases at the time. This one was absolutely ridiculous, but it was fun. Oh Zombie. So yeah, it was kind of a spoof on Osama bin Laden becoming a zombie. This one comes with a slipcover. It was pretty good. I thought the zombies looked pretty good. You can see there what Osama looked like. And this movie, the majority of the movie took place in the desert, which makes sense. And I liked it. I mean, it was ridiculous. It was pretty stupid, but it was fun. Check your brain at the door, eat a bowl of popcorn, and just watch a stupid movie. Those are fun every once in a while. Here is the unrated version of Boogeyman 3. This is a series that has gone on maybe 2 sequels too long. But yeah, it's okay for what it is. I thought the original, the first Boogeyman, was pretty good. Here's another old DVD. This is when DVDs first started coming out. This is Bill Shatner in Kingdom of the Spiders. This was the 25th anniversary edition on DVD. This also has a nice Blu-ray release. This was put out by a company called Good Times. They also had quite a few of VHS releases. They were kind of known as a lower budget. They would release, very cheap, very affordable VHS and very affordable DVDs, but the quality wasn't always the best. Like, they didn't care much for quality like we do now. But back then, we didn't care. I mean, it's just how it was. Kingdom of the Spiders, good little sci-fi drive-in style movie. I'm sure most people have seen that by now. Here's a low-budget shot-on-video movie called Night of the Pumpkin. It says, "That which you carve may come back to carve you." Beelzebub. I'm sure some of you know who Beelzebub is, and you know what kind of low quality. There's Bill right there. He puts out probably 20 movies a year, and I think he puts about $20 worth of money into each movie. I like Beelzebub. There's one called The Cellar Door. This was another one that had potential and it kind of fell short. Kind of people held captive by lunatics. And there's always a final girl, right? It was okay. This one's called The Doctor and the Devils. This was pretty good. Kind of a gothic. It says right there, gothic thriller. Kind of a gothic vibe to it. It says it was based on poet Dylan Thomas's original screenplay. A shocking horror thriller, stars Timothy Dalton. He's a professor in 1820s Edinburgh. This is an American gothic movie, I think. Let me see here. I thought this was an American movie. I could be wrong about that, but when it comes to gothic horror, nobody does it better than the British. See, these are completely out of order. This is Cabin Fever 2, Spring Fever. Not bad. Part 1 was actually pretty good. I've seen that movie a few times. And Cabin Fever 2 was not bad either. I had fun with it. Put up by Lionsgate. There's a tagline at the top. It says, "This is Evil Dead 2, fueled by raging teenage hormones." It's not as good as Part 1, but it was still enjoyable. Pretty good movie. Here's a classic. This is one of my favorites. I love this movie. This is Planet of the Vampires. This has a Blu-ray release. This is an Italian sci-fi / horror film. The atmosphere is everything in this movie. The colors are beautiful. This almost looks like an Argento movie. But it is definitely a Mario Bava movie. He was the master. If you've never seen Planet of the Vampires, shame on you, and do pick it up. If you get the DVD, if you get the Blu-ray, do pick it up. Great movie. Here is George A. Romero's Land of the Dead. This was the unrated director's cut. I bought this day one when it first came out. I love Romero's movies. I love his Dead movies, but they got worse as time went on. I think this was the last of the good ones. And of course, Night, Dawn, and Day were the best. Land was still up there pretty good. But they got worse as time went on. But that's still pretty good movie. I have this movie a couple different times. It does have a Blu-ray release, which I do have. This is Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, the 35th Anniversary Exhumed Edition. These are fun movies. Alan Ormsby Bob Clark, a tribute to the late director. Alan Ormsby was a very, very talented actor and director, and Bob Clark, we know him from Black Christmas, as well as A Christmas Story. But this one has some pretty good special features. This was put out by VCI Entertainment. Every year VCI Entertainment has a pretty good sale, and you can get a lot of these really cheap on their website. Here is Army of the Dead. I haven't watched this one yet, but you can clearly see that they're trying to go for an Army of Darkness ripoff. I bought this at an FYE, previously viewed, for $4.99. Plus it was probably cheaper than that because I do have the card there. Here's one called Plague. You can never get enough zombie movies, and for a long time zombie movies were so oversaturated. Everybody was making zombie movies. I still enjoy zombie movies, but not quite as much as I used to when I was a kid growing up. They were kind of few and far between back then, and now everybody's making zombie movies. Here's a great anthology movie starring Vincent Price as the narrator. This is called From a Whisper to a Scream. And Jeff Burr, the director of this film, recently passed away last week, and he was great. But this is a very fun horror anthology, and if you haven't watched it, do check it out. It's a 4-part movie that kind of ties together. So we're getting down to one pile here. So this is a Troma release from Fulci's New Gladiators. Ultra low budget. I think this was late 70s, right? Let me see here. This was back when the internet was kind of young. You can get a free email, movies, music, games, and more if you go to tromaville.com. I think this DVD was released in 2001. I'm trying to see when the movie was released. Yeah, I'm not seeing it. Anyways, it's a fun flick. It's a fun Fulci movie. Here's kind of a gore fest. This one's called Nailed. And this one had a lot of splatter to it. Bad acting. This was put out by Image. This is put out by Sub Rosa Studios. This is the Meat Market collection. You get Meat Market and Meat Market 2. This was probably one of the first releases I bought from SRS. And this was released in 2007. It's probably around the time when I bought it. Uncut, unedited, unreal. So, you know, it's a gory movie. It's a shot-on video movie. So you have to know what you're getting into to watch that. Here is Piranha. I have this movie many different times. I have this on Blu-ray and 4K, I believe. But I think, is this the original or the remake? This is the remake from 2011. So I don't have this movie many times. I thought this was the original Piranha. This is the remake from Alexander Aja. I believe that's how you pronounce his name. Here's another Sub Rosa Studios. This one's called Urban Flesh. It says it's banned in 3 countries. But yeah, this was another early release from SRS Cinema. This is also from 2007. And there you can see the shot on video. I do enjoy shot on video movies, but I have to be in the mood to watch them. Here's a documentary about Lucio Fulci called Remembered, Volume 1, Paura. And this is a really nice, it's been a while since I watched this too, but this was a really enjoyable, I watched the whole thing through in one sitting years ago. And if you love Fulci and you love the Italian cinema, you should give this a shot. Check it out. And you can see some of the people who are being interviewed here, some of the actors and actresses that he worked with, some of the people who he worked with making movies, and some of his fellow friends who were also directors. And that right there is a very, very powerful list of brilliant Italian directors. The best to ever do it. And they all kind of pay homage to Fulci. And rightfully so. This guy was a genius. Here's a movie I enjoy. I have a soft spot for this. I like these killer dolls and killer puppet type movies. This is Dead Silence, unrated. This is a fun movie. So this is the unrated version of it. Here's a case of the cover is better than the movie. So this is Lost Boys, The Tribe. And this one has a pretty slick lenticular cover. And like I said, the cover is better than the movie, at least in my opinion. Maybe you love the movie, and more power to you. But that cover is pretty nice. Here's some more Troma trash. This one's called Deadly Daphne's Revenge. This has a Blu-ray release from Vinegar Syndrome. Low budget slasher movie. Here's an old snapper case. I don't know if maybe some of you have never seen a snapper case before, so I'll pull this out and show you. This was the very worst packaging you can ever put a movie in. First of all, this plastic snapper is very thin. Often it would crack and snap. Not only that, but it had a very thin, paper thin outer cover that would often get destroyed because there's nothing protecting it. There's no plastic or anything over the top of it. It's just paper. And I'm glad that this was a very short-lived media, because it's just garbage. But anyway, this movie is actually pretty good, and it stars Meatloaf, who passed away recently, like within the past few years. And Meatloaf was a psychopath, killer trucker in this movie called Blacktop Murder on the Move. I recommend the movie. Was never really the biggest Meatloaf fan, to be honest. I don't really care for his music. I'm not trashing him. It's just not my style. But he did a very, very good job in this movie as a psychopath. A couple more here. We have Bad Taste, Peter Jackson before he became huge. And this one has a lenticular cover where he'll give you the bird. This movie is pretty terrible, but it's fun at the same time. It's another popcorn movie. You don't have to do much thinking when you watch this. But it's fun to go back and see how Peter Jackson got his start, making ultra low budget movies, to then going on to make the best movies in cinema history, in my opinion. The Hobbits and the Lord of the Ring movies. There's nothing better than that, in my opinion. So this is still a fun movie. This was limited to 50,000, which is not limited. That's a lot. I got number 28,740. This is an Anchor Bay release. Bad Taste. And two more. This is Rawhead Rex. This was a hot ticket back in the day. This must have been an ultra low production run because this was very, very pricey at one point. I got this at a Best Buy years ago for regular shelf price, but I think these sold out. And like I said, I believe it was a low print run because these were going for hundreds of dollars on eBay for a long time. But now this since has a beautiful Blu-ray release. I believe it's Kino Lorber that put that out. Not only did they give a nice Blu-ray release to it, but they also have a nice Steelbook release to it. And you can get this now for 15, 20 bucks on Blu-ray. Whereas back in the day, if you tried to get this on DVD, you might have had to pay $100 for it. And the last one for this video is Silent Night, Bloody Night. This is the HD restoration from the 35mm Film Elements. And it says it's a film chest restored version of the movie. And this is a pretty creepy movie. It has kind of a Night of the Living Dead type feel to it. You can see there some of the scenes may remind you of that. And this was a pretty fun movie. Not too many people talk about this. It's a movie from 1973. A young man inherits a house in which his grandfather died in a fire that was once used as an insane asylum. I'll leave it at that. If you guys have never seen Silent Night, Bloody Night, do check it out for sure. So that'll be it for me, guys, for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing and hitting that thumbs up. I would really love to get to 10K. I don't like begging for subscribers, but and I rarely ever even bring it up. But I'm less than 300 away. I'm going to start purchasing prizes, and I'm going to have 3 winners. And I'm going to have some pretty rare stuff as giveaways, just because this will be my last milestone. I don't think I'll get much more than 10K, if I even can. I think I can with your guys' help. I'm going to need your help for sure. But so consider subscribing, hit that like button, try to get me in that algorithm where YouTube might share my video with people who haven't seen my videos before. And like I said, I'm going to start buying some prizes now, and I'm going to buy some box sets and some out-of-print stuff and some signed things to give away to the community, because I really enjoy making these videos, and I hope you guys enjoy watching them as well. So I'm droning on right now, and I tend to do that sometimes. So I'm just going to cut it here. And we lost Miss Heidi. She went in the other room. She's on the couch, I believe. She has a favorite blanket that she likes to kind of curl up in. I think that's where she is. I'm here with my bestie. She never leaves my side. This is Hannah. So you guys have a great night. Enjoy your weekend. If you enjoyed this, comment below if you'd like to see a part 2 to a random video like this. If not, I will see you guys probably in a few weeks then, when I have enough to show an actual update video. Until then, take care, and I'll see you around later.